Tim with the University of Vinyl, filming this on Saturday morning, February 1st. This is going to be a review of the newly released, the latest UHQR in the series from Acoustic Sounds, Katy, the fourth Steely Dan record, originally released March 1st, 1975. We're coming up on 50 years. We're almost there. Little backstory here. I love this record. It's one of my favorite Steely Dan albums. I did a kind of a deep dive video. I'm going to link to it over a year ago now. After doing that video, which focused on the historical issues with the Katy recording, the original mastering engineer at Kendun Recorders has reached out to me, Rick Collins. He's done some amazing work. He was with Kendun Recorders for 5 years. I am really grateful for him to kind of making contact, and I actually might have a follow-up conversation with him. He gave me his cell phone. Haven't had a chance to do that yet. So today, I want to talk about what Bernie Grundman used as far as remastering the record. I'm going to give you some comparisons that I've done with other pressings that I have. I'm going to tell you my impressions of the Katy UHQR release. And then we'll be kind of open to comments and interaction with everyone. I look forward to that. It's always fun with these videos. Like I said, the original mastering engineer reached out to me because he saw my video that I did featuring several cuts from Kendun Recorders. It turns out, I believe that he did all of those, including the amazing 1975 Fleetwood Mac self-titled The White Album, the first album with Lindsay and Stevie Nicks on the record, or in the group. And that is an amazing recording. Okay, let's go talk about, that's kind of the backstory. And I will also mention, I went ahead and purchased this UHQR on my own dime. But I did have a call from Chad on Tuesday of this week, which I was really appreciative of. And he knew that I was really keen to get a review out on YouTube, and he was nice enough to kind of step up and bring my copy up to the front of the queue in the mailing desk, and I actually received the record late Thursday afternoon. I did some listening on Thursday night, more listening yesterday afternoon, and more listening this morning. Really focused listening, and I'm going to tell you what I think. It shows that they used the 2-track 30 IPS remix that was done, remixed with Dolby A noise reduction. So they went back after the whole DBX debacle and they couldn't get the DBX decoded properly. They went back to the multi-track tapes and they did a remix, and they remixed it to Dolby A. And you can see Rick's name on these 2 tape boxes, Reel 1 and Reel 2. So this is what they used. And, in the email from Rick, he kind of described in pretty good detail the hoops that he had to go through working with Denny Diaz to come up with the final production approved lacquers. So that's the source. Let's talk about the packaging. As usual, fantastic. Look at the high gloss, heavy duty. I'm assuming this is a Staunton cover. Really, really nice. The reproduction of the artwork is amazing. Let's compare this to a 1975 early pressing, and this happens to be what I feel prior to today was likely the best sounding pressing available of the record. This was a mysterious recut that Rick Collins has confirmed that he did the recut. He looked at the etchings in the dead wax. It's his handwriting. This is the one that has AM etched on side 1 and side 2. He can't remember, we're 50 years down the road here. Unfortunately, he doesn't remember what was the significance of the AM. Now, I have a Santa Maria pressing that has -3, so, kind of a third pass. And reading Rick's story with Denny Diaz, and then if you read Denny Diaz's story as well, I think it's called The Gremlin. I'm sure everybody knows about that story. It's online. Everything kind of checks out here, so it's really interesting. Anyway, I'm really jumping around, but really nice reproduction on the artwork. This looks to be a little, the original compared to this. You've got a little more clarity here, and that's kind of a key word, a little more clarity. I think that's going to translate well to what I have to say. That mysterious AM recut on the ABC label is what I feel is the best sounding up to this point. I've never heard the Mobile Fidelity, the early MoFi pressing that came out, I think 3 years down the line, so maybe 1978, 1979. And I've never heard there's a German repress that a lot of people talk about on the Hoffman forums. Now, I want to give a little hat tip to, first of all, Bill, a friend of the channel. He's the person who actually kind of clued me into this mysterious AM pressing, and I went out and found one. And then also Randall on the Hoffman forums. I've been in touch with him quite a bit, and I appreciate his kind of feedback as well. Here's the thing with this record. Here we are 50 years down the line. You're going to be very, very hard-pressed to find a near-mint copy of that AM cut. If you do, by all means, hold on to it. But the cool thing about the UHQR is we have dead silent vinyl compound here, and it's cut at 45 RPM across 2 records, really allowing these songs a little extra space, a little room to breathe. And everybody knows that is the formula with the UHQRs. Back to the packaging. In addition to the photograph of the actual source tapes right here, we have Donald Fagen's liner notes, which are always fantastic. And then we get some actually specific credits on guitar solos, etc., on certain tracks. One of the reasons I love this record is because you have such a great variety of guitarists on here. Everything from original founding member Denny Diaz, Walter Becker, Rick Derringer. The list goes on. But there are some incredible solos on this record. Back to the packaging again. When you open up this package, if you go ahead and make this purchase, you're going to see a cool kind of description liner note by none other than Michael Fremer. And, Fremer has just put out, over the last day, I think it came out yesterday, his written review. Most of that review is actually taken from here, and I did see that he's kind of punched in some edits on his listening experience. So anyway, I found that interesting. If you're a fan of Katy Lied, I'm sure you have gone ahead at some point in time and sought out the greatest hits package cut by Robert Ludwig in 1978. The significance here is that we have 3 tracks from Katy Lied, conveniently all on side 3 on the second record. This is a 2 LP set. We have Black Friday, Bad Sneakers, and Dr. Wu. that you can kind of make a comparison to, and that's something that I did. We also have another Ludwig cut from 1982, and this includes one track from Katy Lied, Chain Lightning. This is actually a digital transfer, but I've got an EDP pressing, very, very clean, near mint, very silent. It's interesting what I found out about Chain Lightning, this versus the new UHQR cut. When I think about Katy Lied, there are 4 tracks that I always come back to. They're 4 of my favorite songs in the Steely Dan canon. Those 4 songs are Bad Sneakers, Dr. Wu, Everyone's Gone to the Movies, and Your Gold Teeth Part 2. Okay, so let's cut to the chase and talk about the sound of the UHQR compared to the original ABC pressing. If you are a fan of this record and you've done any kind of listening to it over the years, you know, famously, there were some issues with the end result, the end recording. There are a lot of adjectives that have been thrown out, and there are a lot of, I think Fremer alluded to the Zapruder film, the JFK assassination. Similar kind of analytical detail has gone into the record, and to a point that is true, because people can kind of hear. So the original pressings, they all had issues with kind of a muffled, veiled soundstage, lack of detail and clarity in the instrumentation mix, real issues with clipping, and kind of a spitting sound, an unnatural cymbal sound. And that's where I wanted to kind of start. I wanted to start with Everyone's Gone to the Movies, because when I listen to the ABC pressings, I do hear kind of a muffled, unnatural cymbal sound, whether it's a ride or a crash cymbal. I am happy to report that for Everyone's Gone to the Movies, and everybody, I've got some extensive notes here, so I may have to refer to these. Both the ride cymbal and cymbal crashes are noticeably better and sound like real cymbals with a better shimmer and actual decay that you can kind of pick up over the original Kendun ABC pressings. This is the best I've ever heard this song in total, and Michael Omartian is one of the stars of this record. His acoustic piano and electric piano playing is off the charts, and it's a joy to hear that kind of bopping and weaving Wurlitzer solo that he has on Everything's Gone to the Movies. So this is a clear win for me on the UHQR pressing. What I think has happened here with Bernie Grundman, working with Chad, they have brought Fagen's vocals up to the center of the soundstage. There is also more accentuation, maybe a slight boosting on Porcaro's drum tracks on almost all of the songs. And what we're getting there is the benefit of more detail, more clarity. The mid-range has never been the issue with this record. The upper frequencies have been a little, like I said, veiled, and another word would be pinched. There's better extension on the upper frequencies here, in my opinion, according to my ears, my system. I'm going to put my system in the description of the video so people know exactly what how I'm listening to this record, these records. The bottom end of this record, there's always been an issue with kind of that booming bass on Black Friday. That's still here. it's tamed down a little bit, but that is an inherent issue with the source recording. The first two songs on the album, of course, are Black Friday and Bad Sneakers. They are the lone two tracks on side one of the first record in the set. I already mentioned Black Friday. It's got a boomy bass issue. That's even more, I think, prevalent on the Greatest Hits cut. Let me tell you what I think about those three tracks on the Greatest Hits record. The Ludwig cuts from 1978. Where's my record? First of all, if you're looking for this record, try and get one that has master disc on all four sides. And honestly, I think if you just have one RL etching, you're totally fine. Everyone likes to try and find the RL next to master disc on all four sides. But in doing comparisons with this versus the ABC, there was an improvement in the sound quality, the sound stage. The mid-range was boosted, I think, by Ludwig. I think Ludwig had a recipe, and this is like sacrilege. I'm not criticizing Bob Ludwig's masterings, but you can tell that these three tracks were noticeably boosted somehow, and they sound glorious. But I will tell you now, going back this to the new UHQR, there is a more natural sound stage. You can just tell that it's a more natural sounding track on Bad Sneakers, for instance, than it is on the Greatest Hits package. So Bad Sneakers for me is all about two people, Michael Omartian with his kind of phrasing, and the UHQR really brings out a nice, rich, full tone on that famous Bosendorfer that Michael Omartian went out and bought prior to the recording of the record. It really brings that piano chording to the forefront. And then in tandem, you have Becker coming in with that kind of really, really dirty solo that's just breathtaking. And you have the interplay between Omartian's keyboard and Becker's solo. That's the best I've ever heard it on any recording so far to date. So props to Bernie and Chad for making that work on this pressing. Sounds great. Okay, I want to move on to another song and do a quick comparison. Let's go talk about now. Let's go to Your Gold Teeth Part 2. Okay, this song really kind of points the way towards 2 years down the line, Asia. This could have been on Asia, I think. The musicianship and instrumentation is amazing. You have this gorgeous opening, over 30 seconds of just Omartian's piano. The other thing you pick up on this song is the very, very nice clarity and detail that you get on the amazing drum track from Jeff Porcaro. Very, very depth, very, very light touch on snare. It is a gorgeous song. And then we have Denny Diaz's guitar solo, which is a work of art and really interesting to listen to in contrast to a much different tone and timbre and tonality on Walter Becker's solo, kind of a dirty solo on Bad Sneakers. But again, this track is gorgeous. It could be the best sounding song on the UHQR right now. And the Bosendorfer has decay. It just sounds amazing. It's one of my favorite songs of any Steely Dan song. Okay, I also kind of keyed into Dr. Wu. Now, Dr. Wu, was pretty good sounding on the original ABC pressing. Particularly the full voiced, that famous Phil Woods solo. Even more glorious on this pressing, and the ending drum signature from Jeff Porcaro. I'm getting a little bit of like kind of cool 360 sound here in my setup, and again, it sounds glorious. So, final verdict for me. I'm going to call this a home run. My initial listenings on Thursday night changed when I listened to this even more yesterday afternoon and even more this morning, doing even more comparisons to the greatest hits package, to the original ABC Kendun pressing. Based on what Bernie Grundman had to work with, which we all know was kind of a degraded two-channel mixed down from the multis that may or may not have been affected by the DBX debacle. He has managed to improve the mid-range, add a little more clarity and detail in the soundstage and the instrumentation. The highs sound absolutely fine to me. He's cut back on some sibilance issues with Fagen's vocal. Fagen's vocal has never sounded more rich and full than on this pressing. So I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. Knowing that this recording was not on the level as, let's say, Asia or Gaucho or Countdown to Ecstasy. That's another UHQR that I picked up that I feel Bernie has improved on the original ABC pressing. So, conclusion, final. You're probably going to have a very, very hard time finding a near mint original ABC Kendun pressing, particularly that kind of rarish AM cut. Even so, if you had that, I still think it's worthwhile, if you love this record, get the UHQR, because things have been improved. On a few songs, markedly so. On others, there's still inherent issues that you hear. I'm pointing to Black Friday here. That is it. My review of Katy Lied, the latest UHQR in the series from Acoustic Sounds of the first 7 records. All we have left now to wait for is Royal Scam. I have no idea when that's coming out. I thought this was going to be coming out in late 2023, and it turned out to be coming out yesterday, January 31st, 2025. Please chime in with comments, critiques. Happy to hear from everyone, and I try to reply to all the comments. Please take a moment to subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Thanks, everybody. Take care.